Morning, my name's Simon. Welcome to Bennett's BikeSocial. Welcome to Lanzarote and welcome to the launch of Yamaha's 2024 MT-09. Welcome to Lanzarote, the island of volcanoes and, well, rocks and a bit of sea. And welcome to the launch of Yamaha's 2024 MT-09. And before we start, we should say happy birthday to the MT-09 because it is 10 years old. Was it really 10 years ago that Yamaha introduced us to the 847cc inline triple with its cross-plane this and its linear inertial torque that? Where have that 10 years gone? It's crazy. And a hell of a bike, the first MT-09. Fairly motard styled, sort of classic, slightly wonky Yamaha thinking. They're nothing if not adventurous as a manufacturer. But what an engine. I mean, you know, sweet spot straight away. It sort of sat for me between the aggro of the MT-10 and the slightly grinning, gurning, smiling hilarity of the MT-07. It could be serious when you needed it to be serious. It could be relaxed when you needed just to chill out. And it was everything in between. It was practical, easy to use, fun, fast, you name it. Great machine. But the MT-09 wasn't without its flaws. As I say, it had this kind of slightly motard styling, which gave it a strange chassis. It had quite long forks and the headstock was quite high relative to the swing arm pivot and the axle. And then the frame was so wasted at the back, the swing arm, I think, was pivoted on the outside of the frame. So there was a bit of flex involved. To me, that wasn't the problem. The problem was the steering. When you turned in, you had this real kind of long fork sensation, as if you were about to lose the front, if you were really going for it. But massively popular bike. The suspension was pretty rubbish as well. I'll nip across here. Thank you guys, really appreciate that. The suspension was a bit rubbish too, to be perfectly honest. But hugely popular. You saw them everywhere. Because they were so practical, people would commute on them, just sort of ride as a day-to-day ride, hard to beat at the time. And a few years later there was the SP version with uprated suspension and fancy brakes. And then obviously Yamaha used that engine in the Tracers, in the XSR 900. Tellingly, not in an adventure bike, which lots of people want, an MT-09 adventure bike, but the Yamaha engineers sort of keep saying, well, the engine's not suitable, why do you want this? I think what people want is the adventure styling, but perhaps with that engine, and we'll never take it off-road. But anyway, there's that. And also, of course, a sports bike, although with the forthcoming XSR 900 GP, our sporting itch might be scratched. Anyway, excuse me if there's a bit of wind noise as we speed up here. There's obviously no screen to hide behind. So apologies if the audio is a bit ropey, and apologies if the riding is a bit ropey as well, because I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. Right, anyway, excuses. So after that, in 2021, Yamaha revamped the MT-09, added a bunch of 6-axis IMU electronics, R1 style stuff, completely changed the chassis. The frame became much more conventional with a much lower headstock, and you got that front end feeling was recovered, became much more stable. Where are we going here? We're turning off here. Okay, let's do that then, shall we? The coming is there. Woo! This tarmac is so black and sticky. Look at that. Okay. So where was I? Yes, so completely revamped. And of course the engine became long stroke, 890cc, making 117 horsepower, 69 pound-foot of torque. What a machine that was as well. The MT just got better and better. I rode the 2023 model and absolutely adored it. What a fabulous creation. The 2023 bike is still on sale in 2024. I think Yamaha's list price is £9,810. And at that price, it really is a question of, well, what are you waiting for? As it happens, what you're waiting for is the 2024 MT-09, this fella here. And strange bike to describe, really, because fundamentally it's unchanged. And when I first saw the list of changes, I thought, well, why are they having a launch for this? They haven't changed it that much. There are an awful lot of very small changes that have a very big, I feel, cumulative effect. So I'm going to attempt to remember them all as we go through the bike. So we have the same engine. We have the same 890cc. We have the same 117 bhp. We have the same 69 pound-foot of torque. Completely unchanged from the 2023 bike. I think the gearbox has been refined a little for smoother shifting, and obviously the bike now comes with the third generation Yamaha Quickshifter as fitted to the Tracer 9 GT Plus. There's nothing coming there. Which now, let me see if I get this right. Now, I think if you shift up on a closed throttle, it'll do that, and if you shift down even on a shut throttle, it'll do that as well. So basically, if I got that the right way around, it's virtually a seamless gearbox. I mean, obviously I'm still using the clutch because I'm old school. So yeah, so we have the new Quickshifter. What else can we talk about? So frame-wise, the frame is slightly stiffer. It's reinforced around the headstock and around the engine mounts, just for a little bit more rigidity. But it's not, it's still an alloy Delta Box style frame. We've still got the same swing arm. Pretty much steering geometry is the same as well. There is a slight change, but I'll sort of explain why in a minute. In fact, I'll explain why now. We've got suspension remains 41mm KYB forks. The damping rates have changed though. At the front, they've made them slightly stiffer, and they've taken the spring rate up from 14 newton meters to 15 newton meters. I did say there was very small changes. At the back, they made it slightly softer on the damping, and they've changed the linkage ratio slightly to just give the bike, I think, just puts it in a little bit more, give it a little bit more travel. And also what it's done, that has just tipped the bike on its nose a little bit, and so we have a 0.3 degree steeper rake angle. Again, I did tell you it was fine margins, 0.3 of a degree. Good luck telling the difference between that and the standard MT-09. But again, cumulatively, they do have a bit of an impact. So suspension, yeah, brakes the same 4-pot calipers, radial calipers. What we have now is a Brembo radial master cylinder, very nice too. And we have this nice sculpted clutch lever as well, which is also adjustable with this sort of wheel here, not like a knurled wheel, but this sort of front wheel, which is really cool. So that's grand. We have a tuned air box, so the intakes are slightly different. We have 2 intakes now instead of 3, and they're fed up into the top of the tank through these, they call them acoustic, I don't know, resonance grills or something, acoustic enhancement. Let me see if you can hear it. Did you hear that? Does that make any sense at all? So basically, yeah, the intakes just feed upwards now. And it's to make the engine sound a bit more louder and a bit gruntier without actually tripping the noise meter. So we have, yeah, acoustic box. What else have we got? Again, these are all small changes. I'm trying to think, we have obviously new clocks. We have a 5-inch TFT. It has 4 different screens. You can have, if I push this button here, I think, oh look, oh yeah, you get a warning sign. We'll accept that. And there we go, look, we've got a sat-nav. How cool is that? That sat-nav is wired into a phone under the seat, which is connected via, I think, Yamaha, is it called My Ride app? I'm not sure. I don't actually like having a sat-nav on the screen, so I'll just get rid of that with a button push, and there we go. So yeah, we have rider modes, 4 rider modes, I think, no, 5 even. 2 custom modes, and then rain, street and sport. Big difference between the power curves in each one. Rain mode really does back off the response of the engine, and it is a responsive engine, trust me. And what else have we got? So yeah, of course we have the 6-axis IMU, so there is a full range of highly adjustable parameters, including now we have, they call it BSR, brake slip regulation. Try saying that while you're riding. which I think is just like an engine, variable engine braking. So now you can set up different levels of traction control, different levels of anti-wheelie, different levels of slip control, different levels of, I think, ABS, even cornering ABS is an option in there. Obviously you have your Quickshifter, and now you have brake slip regulation. So there's about 7 things that are feeding off this 6-axis IMU. So that's all well and good. Obviously, the forks are obviously fully adjustable. I think the rear shock might be preload and rebound, or it might be fully adjustable. But anyway, so yeah, right, we've done that. What else have we got? We have a new tank. It's still 14 litres, but now it's flatter and wider, with some fancy new Yamaha production process that allows them to put a really sharp radius on the tank and then paint over it. So that's all very clever stuff. But it is a bit more flared out. I hate to say it, it's a bit KTM shaped tank, to be honest. We have a revised tail unit with a couple of panels. We have a revised face at the front end. Looks a bit like an Iron Man mask for some reason, but I suppose a face has to look similar to something. So yeah, new headlights as well. We have new switchgear. Gone is the little scroll wheel. Hooray! And what we have is this. Actually, it's pretty nice. It's a bit Duplo. It's a bit large and bulbous, but it's nicely shaped. We have cruise control, which is fantastic news. Love a bit of cruise control action. We have this joystick here to navigate the menus, and we have push to cancel indicators as well on this sort of rocker switch, which is a lot easier to use than you might think. You get out of the habit of the old sort of central push button, and literally if you push it for a short push, I think it indicates for about 3 seconds, I believe, or 3 flashes, and it should stop. I didn't press it for short enough time. Press it again and it stops. There you go. So we've got that. We're on Bridgestone, Battle Axe Hypersport S23s, are they called? They feel plenty grippy to me. And let me see. We've still got an 25mm seat height. The seat height hasn't changed. It has now gone to a 2-piece seat. Of course, it's not a single piece anymore. It feels, again, I'll talk about what the bike feels like at the end of the ride, but to be perfectly honest, this bike feels fantastic. But plot spoiler. Weight is up by about 4 kilos, up to about 193 kilos. Last night Yamaha said that was entirely down to more electronics. I don't know if the electrons are heavier now. We have a different wiring loom. I'm sure some of the extra bodywork contributes a little bit to that as well. So, let me see. Have I remembered everything? Have I gone through everything? Yes, I think I have. Oh, and the last thing to talk about, I think, probably, is the riding position, which is different. So the handlebars are lower, and I think they're slightly further forward, and the pegs are higher and slightly further back. I think you're talking 30mm set rearward, I think, and about 9mm higher, something like that, and it's give the bike a bit more of a compact feel. Now, Yamaha haven't said this, but when you take all these changes into consideration, it does sound to me like Yamaha have sportified this bike a little bit. I moved it about as far away from its sort of original motard inclination as you can get. I'll finish off, if you can still hear me, by mentioning the price. As I say, the old bike is still available at £9,810. That's his list price. This is £10,100. It's about 300 quid more. And to be honest, it does feel like you're getting quite a lot for your money there. The SP will be available later in the year for about 11,800. The differences will be as you expect. There'll be the Brembo calipers and superior suspension. I think it's Öhlins at the back. I'm not sure what they do at the front. But for the time being, I'm going to get on and ride this a bit more and come back with a verdict at the end of the ride.
What a fantastic day here in Lanzarote, windy Lanzarote, rocky Lanzarote, MT-09 country, with Yamaha's 2024 MT-09. And I have to say, there are a lot of changes to this bike, And to talk about them individually is really difficult because they are mostly fairly small. There's a couple of ones that are significant. It's the cumulative effect that we really do need to talk about. But I've been through the spec of the bike already while we were riding. I think the things that stand out for me that are different is the riding position. That's the most important thing. We have a more compact riding position. It's more aggressive. We're weighted over the front a little bit more. There's a little bit less leg room, but it does feel much sportier just because of the riding position. That, to me, is the biggest change in terms of the dynamic of the bike. I'll talk about that in a second. The other biggest change is the fact that the things that you look at and touch look nicer. So this Brembo master cylinder, this new clutch lever, it's got these lovely sort of alloy brackets that look quality. So as you look at them, as you ride, you think, you don't see anything that's outstandingly ugly or out of place. It's lovely finish quality. It's that kind of economy of design. I like it. The clocks look really good as well. All right, 5-inch TFT, it's better than the old one. It's still a bit small. It's a little bit pale, somehow it's a bit washed out. I'd like a bit more colour, a bit more vibrancy, but hey, it looks good, it does the job. It's picking holes, really. So they're the things I really noticed, that the engine is the same. The engine is just hilarious. I mean, it's like one of those clickbait thumbnails you get on YouTube that says, don't buy this until you've watched this. Don't buy a motorbike until you've tried this engine. Well, even if you don't buy it, it doesn't matter, but you've got to experience this triple because it is outstanding. If you don't like it or you don't want it, that's fine, but give it a go. It is awesome in any bike, in the Tracer, XSR, in the MT-09 as well. Top piece of work. Anyway, so back to this fella. Yeah, engine, hilarious, still got that kind of mischievousness when you want to be. It still goes fast, but it's also got a light-hearted touch as well. And I'll get onto its rivals in a minute, but for instance, today on some of the roads we've been riding, if we'd been on, say, Triumph Street Triple, fabulous bike, I'm talking about the 765R, because that's really in this bike's price bracket. In fact, it's a little bit cheaper than this. It's got a better front end, I think. It's got a sportier dynamic, but I don't think we'd have had as much fun on that bike. In fact, I think we'd probably have been a little bit frustrated. This bike is just, in any conditions, it works really well. So anyway, what was I going to talk about? Yeah, steering. So we have much more weight on the front end. You can really feel that it's a sportier bike. I do feel like Yamaha have kind of sportified the MT-09 a bit, which is a little bit of a risky path because one of the MT-09's strengths was its practicality, was its all-roundness. You know, you could get on it and give it any kind of riding vibe that you wanted. Now, it's definitely as if Yamaha have kind of looked at KTM and they've kind of looked at Triumph and they say, we need to fully complete the transition from its old motard background into a proper, sportier street bike. Even from the way the flatter tank, these sections here, it's kind of a little bit of a, like we're going where KTM are. So, yes, so there we go. So sportified, definitely, but whether it's gone too far, I don't know, that's kind of up to you guys. I don't think it has. It still has that element of fun. Let's just quickly talk about its rivals then. So really the 990 Duke is kind of out of its league because you're talking 13 grand for this. This is £10,100. So it's kind of just gone a little bit out of its market. You can still get the 890 Duke R, and that's 10,599. So that's much more in this ballpark. Similar kind of spec, but I prefer the fact that you can switch off on this a little bit easier. It's a more relaxed engine if you want it to be. Street Triple R, like I say, 96795, which is amazing value. It is a more serious bike. If I was going to do a track day, I'd probably take the Triumph, to be perfectly honest. If I was just going to muck about and I just wanted a bike for general riding, I'd probably take the MT-09. Street Triple RS, a little bit more expensive, 11,495, and a different league of performance. So really, that's kind of out of the MT-09's class. Same could be said for the Ducati Monster, 11.6. It's just a little bit too much at the top. So, yeah, there we go. I've blathered on endlessly, but for me, I think the bike it's just these little cumulative changes, the new Quickshifter, the sound from the tank, the poise of the bike, the feel of the bike, the brakes, the things you look at, the things you use, the switch gear's nice, hasn't got the little scroll wheel. Hey, it's got cruise control now. It makes an old man happy. So there we go. That's Yamaha's 2024 MT-09. Please leave your comments down below. Ask me any questions. I'll be along shortly. I'll answer them. Get your insurance from Bennett's. Subscribe to become a BikeSocial member. Take advantage of all their offers. And after all that, thank you very much for watching. Right. No, you're good, you're good. On camera. Smile.